Nope, there's just two things. This is the second one. Here we go. This episode of Lords of the Storm is brought to you by our sponsors over at Patreon, where you, yes you, can also support the show. Just head over to patreon.com/Lords of the Storm to become a patron today.
Heroes, gather tribute and earn my favor. What do you say? Are you ready to begin?
Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Greg Gizmozord Parker, and you are listening to Lords of the Storm, episode 161, the weekly Heroes of the Storm podcast for you, the true Heroes of the Storm. I'm joined tonight, of course, by the Zord Lords themselves, Mr. Kevin Multizord Ellis and Ryan TBK Zord Reader. And on this week's episode, Deckard Cain finally gets announced, along with some exciting lore news. The balance patch we never thought would come, a PAX interview with KO and Matt, thanks to our friends over at the Starting Zone, and ranked play. It's fine, right? Good?
Totally fine.
Don't need to be touched?
That's what Reddit says.
Yeah.
Reddit says it's cool and it's in the best spot it's ever been in.
And Reddit is always correct.
Spoilers.
Just
That's right.
on everything.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yep.
Before we get into the show, though, let's see how the guys are doing here. Multi, how are you doing tonight?
Doing quite well. I am ready to talk some heroes. I actually, specifically about a couple games I had this past week. So let's get this going.
Excellent. All right. TBK, how are you doing?
I am doing this show.
Perfect.
That is how you are doing. I thought that was what you were
You
doing.
guys are giving me a lot here tonight. Appreciate it.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's kind of both, I guess.
Yes.
The show is the state of being.
Well,
Why are you doing the show? The show.
the show?
The show.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
the time for that. Let's try this one. What have you guys been up to in gaming this week? TBK, I'll start with you.
I do have more for this. Lots of heroes play. Just like Multi, I actually had a really, I wouldn't call it a good game, but it was an interesting game because we had a Medivh player who disconnected right at the beginning of the game. Didn't come back at all. I was playing Phoenix, and the game ended up going for like 24, 25 minutes, level like 23, and we almost actually won with an AI Medivh who continually got caught out. And I was playing Phoenix, and they had an Abathur on the enemy team, and at the start, in my mind, I was like, I'm going to go Planet Cracker because I'll be able to snipe the Abathur from anywhere on the map. And then I realized somewhere slightly after I had pushed the Planet Cracker heroic button, crap, our Medivh is an AI player. I have no idea where this Abathur is, and this is going to be useless.
Unless you're lucky or have a really good read on your map awareness on
I
where
was
his
not.
locusts are coming out. No? Okay. Well,
0%
I hit
Abathur
him
hit
once.
ratio. Oh, okay.
I hit him once, but he was not on a hat or anything, and he just like slugged his way
Out of
slugged
it.
his way out.
oh,
It
just
was
walked up.
super sad. I did finish up the Star Wars Battlefront 2 single player campaign,
Okay.
which was really good, and I am about to start Assassin's Creed Black Flag here
Yeah.
sometime, maybe this weekend. I've heard really good things. I'm pretty excited.
Excellent.
It's going to be like Sea of Thieves, but with content. I don't know. I've never played Sea of Thieves. That just seems to be the running joke.
Not far off.
Went
but-
around.
Yeah.
Multi, how are you doing?
Turns out the actual ocean doesn't have a ton of surface content either. Just how that works. Waves, I guess. Some.
Yeah.
The water
Some-
looks
some
really
fish come up
freaking
in
It
nice.
does.
It does.
It really does. Like that is some amazing water.
Yep. Very true. I'm doing well. This week in gaming, I tried to squeeze in all the heroes I could. And actually, so I wanted to talk about a Hero League game that I had, which, and I'm not tooting my own horn here, but it was a perfect game in that we had no deaths. And usually when you have games like that, because they do happen even in ranked for sure, but usually it's because one team is just slaughtering the other team. You're up like 30 plus kills by the end of the game and that sort of thing. That wasn't the case here. It was a super weird game in which like both teams had legitimate comps. We went in, we both had plans, we were communicating well. It seemed like the enemy team was communicating well and that they were making the right rotations and following up on objectives and splitting soaking properly. It was as if both sides were doing everything properly. It's just that we won every group fight, every objective, everything. And it was crazy. Like I don't remember the number of kills we won by, but it was not much. Like it was just enough to clean up the engagements. It was cursed hollow. So we got our curses, made the pushes and just had a perfect game. And so at the end, it was super weird because like you're sitting there with the chat with all these other guys and you're just like, okay, guys, well, good game. Wish they could all be like this. All right.
Those
thanks.
games are fun when it's like,
Yeah,
even when you're on the losing side, like close matches like that, whenever you lose an objective, but your team responds perfectly and goes back to their, individual things they should be doing, circling, grabbing camps, so you don't fall far behind an experience, and it just comes down to those really close team fights. Those are good. I enjoy those.
It was crazy. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. For myself, I've still kind of been on the battle royale kicker type thing. I've been playing a lot of Fortnite with Chillrog and some people over in his Discord area, as well as trying out a new one last night, Radical Heights. It's like an 80s themed thing that is the earliest early access I've ever played. The game's only been in development for 5 months. It has potential, but it's super buggy. But I have been playing a lot of heroes on 2 accounts this week. I actually started my Hero League placements, which I didn't really have any desire to do until certain things happen. Main one being performance-based matchmaking being put back in, hopefully next season.
Mm-hmm.
But I played my first 2 games. First one, we were up 4 levels and almost lost somehow. And I was
wow.
oh, that almost happened. It didn't, though. That's good. And then the second one, we just had a troll guy that was just trolling. So it was like, okay, that's cool. Then I decided, I'm going to go back to one of my alternate accounts, just level up some heroes on there. So I spent about an hour and a half trying to find the right account because apparently I have a lot of them that have never been touched, but they're there.
I wonder why. Was it because of the vulture mount? By chance?
Oh, maybe. Yeah, that's it. That was it. So I found one that had some work done on it. And I was like, I'll just continue playing this one. And it's been a lot of fun. Like, I'm not doing it to be a smurf and just go and dominate things. Like, the games have been, if I'm playing a carry, like pretty one-sided, which feels good. I'm not, happy that I'm making people have a horrible gaming experience, but it's been interesting now that voice chat's in because I've had an opportunity to actually be like a good Samaritan. Because some games people will join, some games people won't. But I've had a lot of people ask me like, oh, like, how'd you do that? Or why are you rotating so soon? Or why are you getting these camps and stuff? And just asking questions. And I've been able to inform people like that are just getting into the game on, some decision making. And
Nice.
it's been an interesting experience. So I've had a lot of fun with it.
Educating the player base?
Yeah. It's like, what?
Oh my.
Who does that?
Yeah, who knows?
Who does that?
So,
That seems like a radical concept.
yeah. But
I like it though.
that account
I like it.
is almost ready to take into placements. I need a couple, like I think 1 or 2 more heroes to level 5, which that is a slow process because no stim pack.
Oh,
Rip.
yeah.
Holy cow. You always forget how slow it is till you don't have one anymore. But let's go ahead and hop on into all of the heroes things. First up, we do have a patron update. We have a new patron, Scott C. Thank you very much. And you, sir, have earned your Zord title. Ah, that's the wrong one again. That's KT titles. Here we go. You have been deemed worthy of bearing the Zord title. Welcome to the Zord Lords. North Zord, welcome to the Zord Lords. Thank you very much for your contribution. Thank you to all of our patrons out there. We really do appreciate it. And you help us to continue to improve the show. So big shout out to all of you. Now let's go ahead and hop on into the news. First up, finally, it is here. BlizzCon 2018 has been announced. It will be November 2nd and 3rd at the Anaheim Convention Center. Tickets will go on sale May 9th at 7 p.m. Pacific and May 12th at 10 a.m. Pacific. And yes, that is during Heroes of the Dorms. Dorm.
Better freaking get a
no,
ticket.
I did it. I'm sorry, Bethany.
Oh wow.
Oh, rip.
You
That's
take that
awful.
S back. You take it right back.
I
Maybe
only
we
got
can
like
edit
halfway
it out
out.
afterwards.
Only got
I
like
don't want her
halfway
to
out.
know that this happened.
Gosh.
But the tickets will be
maybe-
$199. So,
So
Right.
same as normal.
yep.
Yeah.
For the
Same as
past couple
normal.
years, at
Sadly, not 3 days.
No.
Again, I keep
Which-
hoping.
We keep
I
hoping,
keep
but
hoping.
it's kind of expected now too. Interesting thing actually about it this year though is how early it is in the month. I mean, it's always the first weekend, but
Yeah.
the way that it shakes out this time, I mean, you know, it's Halloween is that Wednesday, which I think is going to throw a wrench into some people's plans.
Not at all.
I myself was thinking about like, oh, I should try the Wednesday this year, but then I'm like, but it's my son's first Halloween. I can't miss that one, even though he's probably not going to trick or treat much. But you know how it goes. Also, a fun fact though for you guys. So I was raised Catholic, so I know these things. Thursday, November 1st, right before it, is All Saints Day. And if it's All Saints Day, guys, it's also St. Patrick's Day. So there you go. St. Patty's Day party, Thursday night, right before BlizzCon.
I don't think the BlizzCon parties need the help of St. Patrick's Day, though. They're
But they're
already
gonna
their
have
thing
it.
I
on
don't
their
think they
own.
do.
They're going to
I don't
have
think
it.
they do.
It's already the thing on their own. So,
Okay.
yes. So my challenge to everyone there, because a lot of people get on Wednesday. I'd say probably the
Right.
majority of people. Some people get there like the Monday before. For everyone that's there this Wednesday for Halloween, there is no excuse. I don't care how minimal it is for everyone to be cosplaying this year for a Halloween party.
That would be pretty sweet. Like at one of the hotels or have someone actually arrange an event space type deal.
It'll just be, I'm sure it'll be in like the Hilton lobby, but
Still, I mean, the cosplayers could just do it a couple days early.
yeah, for
You
sure.
know?
So, should be a good time as always. Make sure if you are planning on going or, you know, tickets haven't gone on sale yet, but if you're wanting to go, find a hotel that is refundable and
Yes.
book your room quickly. Otherwise, you're going to be
Very
really
quickly.
hard pressed trying
The
to find one.
prices have already started shooting up. Like the one I grabbed, like literally 30 minutes after the announcement was made, I checked the next day and it was already up $50 a night.
Wow.
Yeah, and the hotel prices are going to be more expensive. But I read this on a tweet and they made a really good point. Like, do not pay $700 a room unless you have a very large group or it's just you that doesn't bother you financially. There's no reason. You can find a lot of places, budget places within walking distance, or it's really cheap to Uber, even if you are just outside of
just
walking
quick
distance.
Uber. That's kind of the route I was thinking about taking this year anyway. So
Yeah. But I need to figure out what I'm doing because I think my raid team's going to possibly get a house again this year, but I need to find that out. So if
Nice.
not, I can get a hotel or something. Who knows? But yeah, keep your eye out. Again, first round goes May 9th at 7 p.m. Pacific. I don't think they've given information on what site they're using yet.
I assume they'll probably use the same site as before. It seemed to work pretty decently
Eventbrite? Is
last
that it?
year. The one big difference between this year and last year is last year they did have 3 dates for ticket sales. My guess
Right.
is that they combined those extra tickets because the convention center got bigger last year because there was a big expansion add-on to it, which it was actually really nice to have all that extra space. But I hope that the 2 dates they do it have more tickets. And
Yeah.
maybe that'll make it a little easier to grab off the bat.
correct me if I'm wrong, but the third sale last year was in reaction to them finding out that the bigger event space was going to be a possibility,
Yes.
and so they knew that they could sell more. So yeah, that would be my guess too. Is they already know the size, so they're just factoring it into these 2 sales.
Yeah.
So
And maybe
But we'll see.
Maybe who knows? Maybe we'll get another surprise of third round for whatever reason. Next up, we have, and we'll continue to get more BlizzCon information when we do. We will let you all
quick
know.
thing though, Cheese Dog in the chat. How quickly do the BlizzCon tickets sell out?
Couple
instantly.
seconds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like from a line perspective, if you don't have it within 5 minutes or so, then you're probably not going to get one.
Yeah.
If
And
you
that's
haven't
like,
gone through the queue.
yeah. So like as soon as it hits and you click that, it's going to be spinning. Oh, you're in line waiting. If you don't get one in a couple minutes, then yeah. And do not
it's a
refresh
refresh
when
the
it does
page.
that.
Up until that point.
Yes.
Type thing. Yeah. Mhm.
So have
We've
fun.
all learned from experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have
Do
fun,
not
you
refresh.
you first time BlizzCon ticket purchasers. Okay, the balance patch that we never thought it was going to come. You know, we just thought Phoenix was just going to be the new dude forever.
Be the
But-
meta.
Be
Yeah.
the meta. Yeah, so there wasn't a balance patch last week. He has been wreaking havoc. I think up to like a 97.6% involvement rate on Hot Slogs.
Although
Most of them are bans.
for all you people complaining about Phoenix, you're only allowed to be sad about it if you were here for Kael'thas release patch.
Fair point. That was a pretty brutal one.
Kilthos
That
release.
yeah, remember when
The bombs.
when his ignite and his living bomb used to be able to spread from minions too?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You could just one shot people that were standing in the middle of a
Yep.
minion wave.
Yep.
Yep.
I thought that was. I don't think that was his release though. Wasn't that a
don't
bug
think that
that
was
happened?
later.
Yeah, that was just
That was.
a patch later. That was a bug.
He had a strong release though.
He did.
I seem to remember another
He
really
had a
strong
really
release.
strong
was
release.
Li Ming too.
Mm-hmm.
S of
Where she-
Johan.
Yes,
right.
Johan.
Mm-hmm.
It's all good times.
But yeah, Phoenix has been pretty strong. But thankfully, from a Hero League perspective, we actually have bans. Like a lot of these older strong hero releases, there wasn't even bans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so at least there's a way to deal with them. And boy, have people been dealing with them by bans.
Right.
Like if you look at Hot Slogs, the disparity is absolutely insane. We've got like 5,000 games played or something like that, and it's like 40,000 games banned or some absolute ridiculousness.
Yeah.
No one wants to lose instantly to a crazy high damage hero.
You
So,
just
I get it.
You know, in the 5,000 games where he didn't get banned, it was just instant salt in that draft chat on whoever was banned.
What are you
What
doing?
Are you doing? What are you
And
doing?
trolling people banning like Murky and Gazlo and stuff.
Why are you letting
Who
him
knows?
out? Anyways, yes, balance patch. There's actually a surprising amount that went on this balance patch. It's lots of things, lots of small things, but some good things. First one up here, Falstad, pretty much just getting a nice little buff to some of his stuff. Gathering Storm now returns 10 mana per enemy hit, added functionality, with Wingman reducing Lightning Rod's cooldown by 3 seconds as well. And then Updraft at 4 removes the duration of shields granted by Barrel Roll. So nice little takes on him. I'm glad to see it. Phoenix though, this is the main one, but it's not like the main one like we were expecting. I think.
Technically, it isn't. Yeah.
So
But it is. It's a big deal.
yeah, pretty much as expected, they nerfed his Q build here quite a bit, and they wanted to bump up some of his other talents. Basic attack damage from 96 to 86, so not a surprise. Plasma Cutter reduced from 145 to 135, not a surprise. Planet Cracker damage actually increased from 105 to 108. Woo! So now if they still stand in it, it'll do damage, I guess. Abathur can still slither away. And then the talents here. Advanced Targeting, of course, which is his quest. We knew this was going to get a nerf. The damage bonus reduced.
That was the big one.
Yeah.
Right.
From 0.75 to 0.5. And the max bonus damage reduced from 75 to 60. So it'll, I think, still be very viable. And then Arsenal Synergy damage bonus increased from 100 to 175%. So
Oh, interesting.
that
Okay.
could be a
But
big
yeah,
one there as well.
the advanced targeting is still going to spin the third time, so
Yeah.
it's good stuff.
And it'll still scale really well. It just won't be absolutely crazy. Level 4, Emergency Protocol, which is his trait movement speed bonus reduced from 30 to 25%, which was one of the big talents there. Of course, you still have your teleport reset talent, which is nice. 7, Combat Advantage. Damage bonus against slowed targets reduced from 50% to 40%. So that one got hit there. But again, it's still going to be a nice bonus, I think. 13. A lot of his shields, all of his shield talents here actually got tweaked. Auxiliary shields. Shield regeneration reduced from 20% to 15% of basic attack damage dealt. Dampening field. Spell armor increased from 15 to 20. And then rapid recharge, the shield recharge increased from 20% to 40% of healing received. Which, that was the one we talked about. Just didn't really seem worth it because your shield recharges really fast anyways. 40% is quite a bit though, so I don't know if it's enough.
Especially if you have a healer. Because as a healer, it was not really worth targeting Phoenix at all.
Yeah.
Unless it was a super emergency situation, but everything else would pretty much be wasted if you had. I mean, you got shields.
Mm-hmm.
Can't heal the shields.
Yep.
Right.
And then his level 20s here, Singularity Charge. The repeater cannon bonus attack speed increased from 50% to 100%. And Unconquered Spirits, which is the passive shield amount, increased from 600 to 800. So, didn't touch the level 20 talent, which is cool. That shoots the Helix rockets.
Right.
That.
But the Singularity Charge is a pretty big deal, and that's a buff. I actually find it interesting that there's buffs in here at all. I mean, clearly some of them are designed to get you to pick some of these talents that were the lesser picks before, and I don't mind that. Like the extra 5 spell armor on Dampening Field 13, sure, why not? Clearly they were going against this common build that a lot of people were doing, and yeah, nerfing him overall. But it is interesting that there's buffs in here, to me.
Yeah. I think it's just trying to bring some pick rates up, which
It's all about talent balance.
Yeah, which again, like his, we've said this a lot, but his talent tree and kit synergy is just freaking fantastic.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
It is. But I mean, I guess honestly, the biggest one on all this is just that flat basic attack damage from 96 to 86. That is 10. That's a pretty good amount on someone that shoots that fast and shoots in a way that like splits between targets and all that. I mean, this all dropped today, so I haven't had a chance to get in there and try them out, of course. But I think that's the biggie.
Mm-hmm. But they've kind of countered that with some of his auto attack talents to bring that back up.
And remember too that because of the auto attack drop, it will affect a lot of it will nerf a lot of his other talents that aren't necessarily listed on this. Like it nerfed the auxiliary shields, basically got double nerfed.
Yeah,
because
that's a good point.
It got nerfed from the amount you get back, and the auto attack got nerfed, which is what gets you it back in the first place. The talent where he drops all of his shields completely and you get an auto attack bonus %, that got indirectly nerfed just from his auto attack.
As did the one where after teleporting you get the attack speed buff and all that stuff.
Yeah. So if you were worried about another talent, a lot of them that even you don't see on here were indirectly nerfed just from his auto attack damage bonus nerf.
So maybe they had to put some of these buffs in here to compensate for that. Maybe the original testing was that he was terrible after some of those just flat damage nerfs.
Yeah, I mean, it would have affected him quite a bit, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so we'll see where that brings him within the next couple of weeks, what his numbers look like. Moving on, though, Hanzo, natural agility getting a 5-second increase, so it's now at 25-second cooldown, with Dragon Strike getting a little buff, 64 to 70 damage. And then Serrated Arrows, bonus damage granted versus minions, mercenaries, and monsters reduced from 150 to 100. Take that, Hanzo. You jerk. So
yeah.
Yeah.
You freaking turd. I don't know. Li Ming. Haven't seen her in notes in a long time, I feel like. Aether Walker reduced the time required after taking damage from 5 to 4 seconds at level 1, and then 4 dominance adjusted functionality. Takedowns now restore 30% of missing health. What was it before on dominance?
Not sure offhand.
I would have to look it up.
Yeah, I don't remember it either. Nova TBK. Anything sticking out here to you?
Yes, they nerfed my build.
Yeah.
Why you gotta be like that, Blizzard? No, okay, so dominance was buffed by 10%. Because old dominance is takedowns restore 20% of your max health.
Okay.
So that's cool. The perfect shot at level 7 actually might be worth getting now, because each hero you hit with it also grants an additional precision sniper stack. So if you're having trouble stacking those up, the kind of AoE from that could be good if I'm thinking of the right talent, which I think makes your snipe splash. I'm pretty sure.
Huh.
I'm double checking on that now too. Perfect shot. No, I am lying. Hitting an enemy hero with snipe reduces the cooldown by 3 seconds.
Oh, okay. Oh,
So
you
it grants
reduce
an
the cooldown.
additional stack. That mean each time you
And
hit a hero,
double
it grants
stacks.
2 stacks.
Yeah, so it sounds like double stacks.
Cool.
The explosive round was the talent that I was thinking about, where snipe deals 50% damage to enemies near the impact.
Makes sense.
So yeah, that could be kind of interesting. Double stacks, especially if you're having trouble stacking, or if you're someone who misses, since that's built into her kit now. Why not?
I love the double stack, man. That's Wendy's at its best. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to throw off the train.
No, I'm. Ionic force field, an extra second for your armor duration from your trait. Double tap. They nerfed double tap a little bit because it's going to increase pinning shots cooldown by 2 seconds, and this is the one where you get double W's. I don't think it'll affect it too much, because normally you do pinning shot to open up, then you snipe, and then especially if you grab crippling shot, which at 16 lowers their armor, and then you just wait till the armor goes, and then you use your second one anyways. I don't think that'll be a huge deal, just a slight nerf. Lethal decoy, they are nerfing again. Hollow decoy damage bonus reduced from 35 to 30%. I think this started out at like 50%.
Rip.
And it's been slowly getting nerfed down by 5% every single time. And they also nerfed crippling shot, which was the armor negation, from 25 to 20. And they increased the explosive round area of effect damage from 50 to 70%. So it sounds just like talent adjustments. I'm not honestly exactly sure why they hit her. I felt like she was in a pretty decent spot, but I don't know. Maybe they have numbers that say otherwise.
Yeah. And worth pointing out here on Li Ming, so thank you to Il Patman. It's takedowns now restore 30% of missing health, not total health, which is a big change and good.
Big
Yes.
nerf, and yeah.
Well, it just depends on the situation.
Depends. Yeah, it depends on the situation.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to move pretty quick through some of these just because there's a lot of small stuff. Tracer, overall health and basic attack damage, slight nerf. Since her changes, her auto attack builds kind of come up out of the woodworks, and so this is in response to that, I imagine. Varian got some health changes here, a base health increase along with regeneration, but then slightly nerfing his bonus health and regeneration for taunt to kind of even out, but give him more health for his other builds overall. Medivh,
I like it.
Yeah.
where my Medivh players at?
Not here. It's not me.
I've been playing a little more lately. He is just an annoying hero to play against.
Oh, yeah.
Like murky levels of annoying.
Is he more or less annoying to play against now
I'd say he's almost more annoying to play against.
with these changes?
These are good because especially his Arcane Explosion was doing a lot of damage potentially. And so having the base damage of it reduced and the max additional damage reduced was probably a good thing. And this was something that I've seen the pros complaining about how ridiculous Arcane Explosion was. Yeah, I don't play him enough to really be able to comment super in depth on him, but from what I've heard from other people who do play him, these are probably decent changes for the most part.
Yep. Now, the most important change on this patch, arguably, Sylvanas.
Yeah.
Basic attack damage increased from 85 to 90. There it is. Nope.
Game over.
Yeah, and Multi, you just before the show were like, I just saw that Sylvanas change. Holy crap. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I had to read this twice because it was a bigger deal at first. But Black Arrow, her trait, abilities no longer disable structures. Auto attacks do. So keep that in mind. You're just not going to be able to, go up and Q a tower, auto attack a tower to lock them both down. Their point of this was Sylvanas was a frustrating hero to play against, especially on some of the split pushing stuff. It made it hard on them as far as map design, because she had this trait. So they're wanting her to have to put herself in danger in order to shut those off and try and counter it out with basic attack damage. My guess here is they are going to have to do more to her kit now, because this is big. They're going to have to tweak her in other areas, I think, to fix this.
So remember, this is not quite as crazy of a change as it sounds, because this is abilities only no longer disable structures. As far as I can tell, the black arrows from the abilities, the black arrow trait from abilities, will still disable minions and mercenaries,
which is big still. But I mean,
so you only
huge,
don't have to
though.
worry about structures, and
it's pretty much
you're gonna
one
have to get a
tower
lot better
now.
at your micro.
Yeah, it's pretty much
because you can swap back and forth and get pretty good value
You just have
off
to
of doing that.
actually
It's going to be a lot.
stutter-stepping
It's going to
your
be a
autos.
lot more involved.
well, and you're
now
going
to
to have to put yourself in
Try and do that.
much more dangerous position. And this isn't as big of a deal with the changes we got on the map updates, because you're only having to really worry about one extra tower now, because it's not like once you get that down, then you still have the fort or keep and another tower to worry about. There's just the fort or the keep. So it's not as bad, but it's still... I'm interested to try her.
Probably need to buff her again, honestly, because this is a large chunk of power that has been removed, and I don't think 5 basic attack damage is going to cover it. But I mean, I like the direction they're moving, and we talked about Sylvanas' trait several weeks ago, because you never should have to have one hero's trait that causes you to have to design around when you're making a map. That's just absolutely horrid. So if in taking this away, they can remove or at least mostly remove having to think about, crap, my stuff can get disabled. Yes, it can still get disabled, but it's not near as big of a factor, and it's not going to be near as ever present, since you're most likely only going to be able to shut one, maybe 2 things down at the same time, instead of throwing your Shadow Dagger out and boom, the keep and both towers are just,
Locked
done.
up. And the whole wave.
Exactly. Yeah, the whole wave. So I'm totally on board with this, increasing the designer's ability to make better or more unique maps. And they even said they're ready to make further tuning changes as needed. So I guess
Can't be the
will
end of it.
need. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I don't know. I almost never disagree with changes, nerfs in games that open up more design space, because, when you look at the bigger picture, kind of like you guys were hinting at, we're talking about potentially the health of the game as well as what maps we might see down the road and that sort of thing. And so, yeah, I mean, I think this is one fix. I think our old fix of just having the Shadow Dagger disable structures was another that could have been explored, but I think this is a harder nerf in that sense, just because you have to kind of stick your neck out there and all that and work out the auto attacks, because it was so easy before to even just be standing there and auto attacking one tower while launching Qs and shadow daggers and other things. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, but I got to get in there and try her for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to try out that 5 basic attack damage, obviously.
The main thing it's going to impact is your first Garden Terror and first Dragon Knight, because those were the huge, and first Punisher, if you have her in those maps, because those were the big things.
And the way you approach the land, I mean, I think the problem, honestly, was the E disabling it before you stepped up.
Yeah.
You know, you can't do that anymore. You have to have the minion wave with you at least, if nothing else.
Yep.
So a lot of those strats of like taking Sylvanas and going, 1-0-4 and then just pushing a wall down bottom before the fight even really starts, a lot of that's going away.
Yeah.
Allowing less snowballing is good for the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because there's definitely situations where if you planned it right and you took Sylvanas, you could just snowball an entire lane up to the keep, potentially even taking the keep in 6 or 7 minutes. And that, for the almost every situation I can think of, really shouldn't be possible.
Right.
Almost every situation.
Almost every.
Almost.
all right.
You always got to have a caveat.
Got a little more here. Supports, Kharazim, health increased, and Transcendence healing increased from 94 to 104. While Malfurion getting a little bit of a nerf here. Regrowth going from 400 to 380. Moonfire heal amount reduced from 140 to 135. And then Strangling Vines heal reduction duration increased from 2 to 3 seconds. So it makes sense. Malfurion has been like the man for a while. And Kharazim, not so much. So let's bring some more of those healers back up, as we were just talking about. Get them back to be pickable. Moving on to the Warriors. Chen.
What? Who?
Mike,
What did you just say?
Mike Jones? Chen? I don't know.
Chen?
I got nothing. Who's that?
I forgot is he a hero?
He's a very...
Is that the orc guy with the sword, or
Yeah.
is that the...
Chen is the one you see every once in a while. You don't remember him because he jumps in and then almost immediately dies because he stands there.
Okay.
Oh, that guy.
Well,
You just don't see his
tell
name
us
very
tell
often.
us what's changed with this
Yeah.
this hero that's been in the game forever.
Level 1, and apparently this patch was... Chen was broken earlier in this patch, and they fixed it. I don't know what happened. But level 1...
No, that was just me being silly.
I saw stuff...
They had to roll back the patch earlier, and I was saying that it's probably because they did Chen buffs, and that's physically impossible to do, and so they must have had to learn to take the Chen
that
buffs.
was the Reddit joke. That was the Reddit joke. I
Yes,
see now.
yes.
It makes sense. Okay. It went over. I caught it back here, and then brought it in.
You did a barrel roll
in there. Yep.
to catch it.
Yep. Anyways, level 1, accumulating flame, adjusted quest reward functionality. You gain 15 armor per hero ignited with Breath of Fire, which lasts 3 seconds. And then freshest ingredients. Health regeneration granted by gathering regeneration globes no longer caps at 30. Yeah.
That could be really interesting, actually,
could.
on certain maps, especially.
Lords of the Lane.
That could be pretty powerful.
Rip.
Yeah.
Level 4, Cake Toss. Bonus damage per hero hit increased from 3 to 4, and bonus damage maximum increased from 60 to 80. And then level 7, Purifying Brew. Added functionality. Spell armor persists as long as Chen has Fortifying Brew shields. That seems pretty good. Chen Resurgence? Probably not. We'll see.
I know.
That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of fun. He's been out of the meta for so long that I would love to see him make a little bit of a comeback.
Just bring back the thing where his flying kick not only roots the target
Puts you on
but
the other
also
side.
destroys them.
Oh, yeah.
Just wrecks them, and then he'll
Didn't
be
it
back.
used to put you on the other side, too, to make it where it's easy to body block, and now it puts you behind him?
I seem to think so. Yeah, there was all kinds of craziness.
Chin was silly. He was silly.
He used to be amazing.
You drew out
for
Chin, go home.
all those that can remember like 3 years ago.
Man, it's been a long
Been a
time.
while.
It's been a long time. Dahaka. Adaptation, cooldown reduced from 90 to 80. And then some talent changes. Level 1, Enduring Swarm, spell armor increased from 40 to 50. Cool, I'm down with it. Level 4, Lurker Strain, slow duration increased from 2 to 3 seconds. Cool, I'm down with it. Hero Stalker, added functionality. Enemy heroes hit by Dark Swarm grant 1 essence. I'm down with that. And then Ferocious Stalker at 13, bonus damage increase from 40 to 50%. Also down with that.
Yeah,
I like it.
he'd been hit by a nerf somewhat recently and wasn't like the standard lane bully that he was for some time. So it's good to see him tuned up a little bit more. I like him.
Yeah. Leoric, basic attack damage increased slightly, as well as Drain Hope cooldown reduced from 11 to 10 seconds. Tyrael, I have not played much Tyrael, but he's gotten some stuff here. Level 1, Ardent Restoration, healing increased from 13.75 to 15 per stack. Stalwart Angel, armor increased from 20 to 25, and armor duration increased from 3 to 2. Purge Evil, basic attack damage bonus increased from 35 to 45%. Then at 16, Burning Halo, damage increased from 15 to 18. Bonus damage after teleporting increased from 100 to 150, and then bonus damage duration reduced from 3 to 2 seconds. And Smite the Wicked, also at 16, cooldown recharge rate increased from 100 to 125, and cooldown recharge rate duration after teleporting reduced from 3 to 2 seconds. Yeah, seems cool. So they were wanting to make some viability or focus on viability of some of Tyrael's talents. In particular, Sword of Justice just wasn't picked very often and was underperforming, so they wanted to address it by taking some other talents and increasing their synergy with Sword of Justice. So we'll see if it works. And then finally, Zarya, health increase and particle grenade damage increased from 71 to 75. And this pretty big. Graviton Surge, cooldown reduced from 80 to 60 seconds.
I really like
Yeah,
this.
That's a good one.
That actually, I think, makes it a viable pick choice beside Expulsion Zone.
Yeah.
Because it is good. I mean, its function in a fight can be incredible.
Like, Wombo potential
Yeah.
massively, but it was always on just way too long a cooldown compared to Expulsion Zone.
So
Yep. Agreed. Here's what you do with that, by the way. You take it, and then you still take Planet Cracker on Phoenix, and that extra 3 damage you get on that Planet Cracker, he's totally fine. The win rate on Phoenix is gonna stay the same with that combo.
broken.
I want to see a little more Zarya. I haven't seen her for quite a while.
Yeah.
Me too.
Little Zarya and Shin. Double tank meta coming at you.
That could work, maybe.
Shields on
One-
shields on shields.
One other thing to mention too, and this was in the original notes that came out and was taken out for these notes. I don't know if this was partially the cause of the issues they were having, because they put the patch out earlier today, then they had to revert it for a little while, and then it just went live a few hours ago. But honestly, this section was what I was probably more excited for than anything in the patch notes, because it was a home screen rework. A secondary navigation bar has been added near the top of the home screen beneath the existing play, collection, loot, and watch buttons. Click each tab on the home screen navigation bar to switch among the different categories of heroes-related news. Home screen tabs will be updated regularly and will commonly include information about the latest hero, the current in-game event, heroes, esports, and more. Each home screen tab features additional news items near the bottom of the screen, which can be clicked to find out more details about that topic. For example, home screen buttons may link to heroes and other items in the collection, the latest Hero Spotlight video, and Heroes Global Championship schedule, and more. This sounded like basically the start of that in-game community tab,
Right?
or a section of them that we've been asking for so long.
Or more in-game tutorials and education materials. I mean,
You can put
other
anything
than
in there.
Gizmo, on his Smurf account, which was an in-game tutorial, by the way.
That's true.
Yeah.
But yeah. So no, this is a really cool step in the right direction. Interesting to see that it had to be rolled back, but
I
don't
hope
know,
to see
these-
it back again soon. Like,
Yeah.
that sounds really, really good.
Yeah.
And it sounds like something that could morph into potentially HGC getting more exposure, which is really good, because we've always talked about in client. They're finally putting something in client now that will be easily accessible. And so I'm hoping that this is not just going to be Blizzard content. This is going to be like community content as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, possibly.
be neat. But yeah, I think it was causing like account login issues or something, which is why they had to roll it back. So hopefully that gets sorted sooner than later. All right, PAX happened this last week. And man, our reactions were dead on last week. Super cool.
We almost could have just taken the chance.
We should have.
Deckard.
We really should have.
We
It would
really
have been
should have.
amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But yes, Deckard Cain is finally here, and it's weird for me because I've been thinking about it. Like this is a hero people since Heroes was like announced. We're like, oh, Deckard Cain totally got to be in this,
Right.
and I think we were all serious and thought it would happen, but there was a part of us, or I don't know how to explain it. Like it's weird that he's actually coming to the game, and I'm super stoked for it. Like I'm super glad Deckard's finally here, but it's like, what do we go to next? Like
As far
the
as, like,
meme's
a
gone.
Main hype
Yeah,
hero to look forward to.
I think
Uh,
Deathwing's the only
Deathwing
meme
is-
left.
but
isn't
that's
it?
not the same. Like he's not Deckard Cain level.
That's true. When you look at like Blizzard's history,
Yeah,
he's not Deckard Cain level.
I don't know, but yeah,
Which is funny that a giant dragon that ruined the entire world is not the same level of nostalgia for us than an old man just walking
Get
around
on his level.
yeah,
looking at
step up your
scrolls.
game, Deathwing.
Oh,
But yeah, so we didn't know if he was going to be a specialist or what. They're calling him a tactical support, and his kit's
setup support.
tactical. I think they use tactical too. I'm going to say they
Either
use
way.
tactical
Yeah, yeah.
and setup. His kit's really interesting. I think and there's a lot of stuff when they were going over it that it's like, oh, that's weird. Why didn't they do this or this? And they went and explained why they didn't do certain things. They tried it out, didn't work. But his kit's cool. So TBK, why don't you go ahead and give us a rundown of what we're gonna see from Deckard?
So I'm actually super excited about this kit, and he's a support. Interestingly enough, I think a lot of us thought he was going to be a specialist, but after they kind of explained it, I guess the support makes sense.
Yeah.
Because they said specialists do a lot more damage, and this is an old man with a cane. Although getting killed by a Deckard Cain auto attack will be super, super funny, I'm sure. So his trait is Fortitude of the Faithful. When at least one other allied hero is nearby, Deckard gains 10 armor, and his basic abilities recharge 50% faster.
That's dope.
So you're basically always going to want to be with somebody. You should never be really soloing anywhere at any time with him. His first basic ability is Healing Potion. You throw a healing potion on the ground that heals the first allied hero that comes in contact with it.
Contact.
Quantac. And you can have up to 5 potions active. And there's a 3-second cooldown. So this is really cool because this is like almost pre-setup healing.
It's tactical.
you can do?
TBK. It's
Yeah.
tactical healing.
Tactical potions. Yeah, you can go top lane, throw a few potions down, and then they stay until you throw out that 6th one. So you could just have some potions sitting right behind the gate. Person needs to. They don't have their fountain or something. Walk back, grab them. Sure. His W is Herodric Cube, and this is you throw a Herodric Cube down, deals 80 damage to all enemies in the area, and slows them by 40% for 1.75 seconds with a 14-second cooldown. This is a pretty big area too. This is not a tiny thing. This is maybe a fourth of the screen?
Yep. And of course, there's talents you can put into it, specifically gems you can put into it to get even more effects on that. So it's a cool ability.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It is
And an
really
interesting
cool.
take on the Herodric Cube in general.
I like how they figured out how to make that work really well. I think the gems are talents. So you can take as many gems as you want, but you can only activate one at a time,
Yeah.
which is really interesting. So his E is Scroll of Sealing. You unfurl an enchanted scroll, forming a triangle that deals 150 damage to enemies inside and roots them for 1.5 seconds. And so the unfurling, it's a pretty big triangle. The unfurling does take a little bit of time to actually get done. But it's a pretty big area, and I think this just kind of goes more. He's a very control oriented support.
Yeah, zone control.
Yeah, we're talking big, slow, big root, which is pretty sweet. His heroics, of course, first one, stay a while and listen. I don't think they could have not had that.
Right.
That was just kind of a given.
And it's good.
It's very good. After 1 second, you channel for 3 seconds, putting enemy heroes in front of Deckard to sleep, and it's this big cone in front of him. Not quite like 180, but pretty close. And while you're channeling, so you channel for 3 seconds, put them to sleep, and then after you're done channeling, they stay asleep for up to 2 seconds after. Enemies can only be put to sleep once per cast, though, and sleep's effects end instantly if they take damage. It's only a 60-second cooldown, though.
I really hope this, or I know it's not, but I wish this was like a global announcement to where he would, like, no matter if you were in the bottom lane, he was in top, like you would just hear him say, like, stay a while and listen, and then go into a story just so you know what's happening.
Apparently, they recorded several stories that he will tell while he is doing this ultimate.
5-second stories, or 4-second stories.
Let me tell you about the time that I went to Tristram. And then he'll be like, let me tell you about the time I went to hell. And it'll probably just be really like,
quick, Ryan.
I know, right? It's
Yeah, seriously.
I mean, Deckard Cain, dude, he's just been everywhere. He's a crazy dude. The second ultimate heroic is really, really awesome and has one of the best names of any ability ever. It's called Lornado. And it creates a swirling Lornado that travels in the targeted direction, continually knocking away enemies that it comes into contact with. And that's only a 30-second cooldown, too.
Yeah.
Fun fact about Lornado, by the way. So it does come from the April Fool's Day 2009 Diablo 3 event, in which they released a joke hero called the Archivist, which was a Deckard Cain inspired hero. And so I mean, yeah, it's got to be a reference to that. Obviously, even in that little fake trailer that they had on that day, there was a swirling pile of books and that sort of thing. So, you know, honestly, we kind of complained about this year not having an April Fool's in Heroes of the Storm, but this is kind of it.
Yeah.
I guess technically, actually, it's something that doesn't happen in April Fool's a lot, right? Is that they actually followed up on the crazy product that they announced. Because you know how in April Fool's, people always announce stuff and you're just like, you know, I know that's April Fool's, but that would actually be really sweet.
Yep.
Blizzard went and did it.
I just want
a swirling tornado of books and parchments.
He's going to need a skin like Master of the Seas or something to where it's a Sharknado when this is cast.
Oh, okay. I like it.
Yes.
But they have
you could have a peg leg and it could be a whole pirate thing. Yeah. There's something here.
I want it. But yeah, his kit it
looks super fun.
It's super interesting, super fun. I'm excited to get my hands on him, and I will be the first to say, like, I don't always get excited about supports just because it's not statistically it's my best thing. Who would have thought? But it's just not something I really get into. So I'm excited to get in and try him out. We'll see if he's my thing.
Do you think you're going to be a Deckard main?
Who? Probably not, but maybe.
It's hard to be a main in anything these days with how many things there are. I'll probably play them a lot, though.
The word main has kind of been co-opted as one-trick pony these days.
Yeah.
And there's a stigma attached to it and blah, blah, blah. So, good call.
Okay. I'm a one-trick in Overwatch right now, so.
So am
I. PAX, though. We didn't just get Deckard. We also were told that they were going to be having discussions on the lore of the Nexus and going a little bit deeper into that. I will admit, I'm a little disappointed with the amount that we got there. I thought there was going to be more, but we did get some, and it is exciting. Multi, why don't you go ahead and introduce a new thing we're going to be doing and kind of talk about what
Indeed.
they did.
So I think, and I just kind of pitched this idea to the guys tonight, but I think we're going to start up a new segment coming up here called, of course, Lores of the Storm, where we cover the lore as it kind of unfolds throughout the year, because that's kind of their plan.
That's so
honestly.
clever.
Why, thank you. I thought of it.
Did you just come up with that?
Yes, actually, this
I
evening.
like it.
I was like, I was reviewing the panel to prep for this, and I was thinking, Lores of the Storm. Okay, yeah, sure, sounds good. Anyway, so okay, yes, I'm kind of with you, Gizmo, in that I don't think that they had a lot for us at this panel, but I mean, they opened the door to it, and the sky's the limit on this kind of thing. So they started off talking about it just in general, and they mentioned the fact that you know, in the tutorial, even Uther says that line about how why are all these heroes in these worlds? Just don't think about it too much, you know, something along those lines. But then they stressed that Blizzard's been thinking about it and fleshing out the story. So far, they've been doing it with just a few blurbs in some skin packs and that sort of thing. But then also some of the things we've seen, like the Call of Kel'Thuzad trailer, the Mechastorm trailer, actually are going to tie into the lore, as well as a lot of the maps and that sort of thing. So anyway, to back up, though, they did confirm that the Nexus itself is an actual place. It's a realm that exists at the center of a cosmic storm. So that's the storm from Heroes of the Storm, right? And so it's a storm in which, you know, worlds and universes can come and go, you know, like Hanamura and and that sort of thing. But there are some core realms that are there the whole time.
I see what you did there. Took me a
Unless
minute.
they get taken
Touche.
out.
That's another one that I was like, oh.
Did you just lure them? Like,
Sure did.
Did you just come up with a reason that the map was removed and they come back into
Because
existence?
the world was torn asunder by one of the singularity stones, which went awry somehow. And yes, yeah, totally. You guys are covered now.
Like,
Blizzard, you're welcome. But anyway, so no. Okay, so there are some core realms that have existed for thousands of years. And these are actually Cursed Hollow, Haunted Mines, Gardens of Terror, Dragonshire, and Towers of Doom are all examples of these. So these are Nexus-specific realms that exist in the world. And they're governed by certain realm lords, like, for instance, the Cursed Hollow, Haunted Mines, and Towers of Doom are all owned by the Raven Court, which is, of course, ruled by the Raven Lord himself. And then Towers of Doom is actually an unfolding battle between him and the Gravekeeper, of course, which makes sense. On the other side, we got the Lady of Thorns is apparently the realm lord over what's known as King's Crest, which encompasses Dragonshire and Gardens of Terror. And that kind of makes sense. I mean, those two maps have some thematic similarities, if you think of it that way. And she's actually the voiceover for Dragonshire, so that makes sense. And so anyway, the whole base premise is that these are the lords that are just vying for control over these different areas in an effort to just get more power and more territory, but also these powerful stones that are known as the Singularity. And I think based on some of the artwork that we saw at the panel that the actual Heroes of the Storm icon, like the logo, the three, I don't know, semi-triangles in the hexagon type deal. You guys can picture it, right? I think that's possibly a reference to or some of the art behind these Singularity stones. So that's interesting.
Is it like the Triforce of the Nexus?
In a way, we do know that they're powerful enough that they actually make some of these realm lords at demigod status, where essentially they're like apparently the Raven Lord might be too powerful to actually use as an in-game hero because he is godlike in this realm. So another interesting fact, though, so the base idea is that all of these worlds are a storm, and they're being controlled and fought over by these realm lords, Lords of the Storm. We were actually playing the lore game years ahead of Blizzard.
Yep.
We thought of that idea forever ago. So just playing the 3-year-long game on this.
We are the
you
Lords of the
can
Storm.
You can send the royalty checks to.
The storm is ruled by the Zords.
Indeed. Maybe we'll get our own realm. Oh, I'm going to push for it. Anyway.
Ooh.
Okay.
They're created and destroyed at whim, right? No,
Right.
I think we should do this.
They would create ours for April Fools and then destroy
there is a
them
Zord
April
realm.
2nd.
Yep, there's a Zord realm.
Yep. Indeed.
Totally.
So okay, the only other things they really mentioned were again, so Mechastorm, Call of Kel'Thuzad, those trailers were starting to tell the story at least in a little bit, giving us a flavor of some of these different areas. Like for instance, Neo Stormwind is a real place, and actually Mechaterial is a defender of it. But you guys will remember that one from the Mechastorm trailer, as well as they had a new art piece on that, and they also had a really cool art piece by Peter Lee on the Raven Tower that was incredible. If you guys saw that one. But anyway, so they did stress that, the majority of the story, at least this year, is going to be told outside the game in the form of some of these little snippets, and then also a comic, which is actually coming out this month, called Rise of the Raven Lord by Valerie Watrous. And so, yeah, the art on that looked pretty cool. And that's what I was telling you guys. So in the background of that, Kevin, as he was going through explaining the whole thing, said something along the lines of, oh, and here's the Raven Lord, your first look at him with a singularity behind him. It looked kind of like the hero's symbol, so I think there's something there with that. But
Okay.
Anyway, I don't know. There's a whole lore discussion to be had, and I know we don't have time this episode for that, but I want to dig into it because I honestly, guys, I want to go full nerd in this one to a point that's unhealthy.
And I just want to say I'm super excited for the comics, but I really wish they weren't just going to be digital. Like, I really, really, really want to get these physical. And no,
Oh, yeah.
Ryan, I don't
cool.
just want to print them out. I want an actual comic. Before
It's
you
like
say,
everyone's got a printer. I mean, just there it is.
I want the actual comic.
Like you might even be able to print it in color if you have one of those fancy printers.
Ooh.
One of them expensive printers.
So here's my guess. Here's my guess for people like you, Greg, who want physical comics, and for people like me who would take physical comics if they were offered. I am going to venture a guess that we might see physical comics of some sort, especially if this is something that they're really pushing and really interested in, which from the PAX panel, it sounds like they are. Maybe we'll see some BlizzCon exclusive actual
I don't
physical
want
comics.
BlizzCon exclusive. I want to collect this series.
Maybe they'll have the whole
I
series
want
of
to buy
BlizzCon.
them monthly and read through them and then put them in a protected plastic cover with a cardboard back.
And
Well,
I
Gizmo-
will
Keep them forever.
I want a Mechastorm Netflix show, but
Yep.
You might get
we
one.
can't
I don't
all
know.
have what we
I,
want.
I want an actual book, but this is a whole discussion for another time.
Yeah.
For sure.
Written by
just want it.
Christy
Golden.
Yeah, Golden. Yeah.
Christy Golden.
I would
She's not
take
working
that.
on anything else. She did the Calm Before the Storm, whatever BFA prequel thing. So, yeah, she's
I'm sure she's
open.
got time.
Yeah.
But yes, there was a lot that happened at PAX. We were not able to make it to PAX, but we have some good friends over at the Starting Zone, which is a World of Warcraft podcast, which if you guys are into, you should definitely check out. Mr. Spencer, or Spencer HD, and Jason, who Shield Walled, got a chance to interview K.O. Milker and Matt Villers about Deckard Cain and some of the lore stuff. And were kind enough to allow us to play that for you all. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into that.
Hello, everyone. We are Spencer and Jason from the Starting Zone podcast, and we are here to help out the Lords of the Storm with a little bit of an interview from PAX East. I think to start this all off, KO, do you just want to introduce yourself and say what it is you do?
Sure, I'm K.O. Milker. I'm the production director for Heroes of the Storm, so I oversee the game's production, work really closely with Alan DeBeery, who's our game director, our art director, our tech director, and we kind of chart the course of the game and help the team be set up for success to hit all these crazy goals we give them.
Great. Thank you very much. And Matt, how about yourself?
Hi, I'm Matt Villers. I'm the lead hero designer on Heroes of the Storm. I work with our hero design team and kind of support them and make sure that the heroes we're putting out are the most fun and exciting and awesome that they can possibly be for our game.
Thank you so much for joining us and having the time with us today. I guess to begin with, we'll talk a little bit about Deckard, because, I mean, he's such a beloved character. Like, I hearken all the way back to Diablo. I loved it a lot. Is Deckard someone who you guys have wanted in the game from the very beginning and you were thinking about from the very beginning? Or, like, when did you realize this was his time?
So yeah, absolutely. We've wanted Deckard pretty much the entire time. You know, he is that just big iconic character. He's in the cinematic in Diablo 3 everywhere in the interface. He's guiding you through the game. You know, you think Diablo, you think about Deckard. It just happens. So, of course, though, he is kind of a challenging hero to do. You know, he's not a fighter. He's a narrator. So for a long time, there was that thought of, you know, how's he actually going to work in the game? But then we put out some pretty crazy heroes. We put in a Probe. We put in a Murloc. Abathur's in there. We're like, you know what? We're ready for this challenge. We're going to take on Deckard. So about a year ago, is kind of when we really seriously started working on him and sitting down to figure out his kit and, you know, what he's actually going to do. And things just kind of went from there. If you want, I can kind of go into a little more detail on the process of how we developed that kit, if you're interested.
Well, what were the essential things that you felt had to be carried over to really represent Deckard?
So the really essential thing was honestly just that he would feel like Deckard, that he would feel like, you know, someone who is wise and who's giving guidance to his team, who's not someone who's just walking in there smashing everyone with his staff. And I mean, maybe there's a world where that's fun, but it just doesn't feel like Deckard, you know. So we had to figure out a way to make it so he could stand shoulder to shoulder with these other epic heroes, the Thralls, the Diablos, and make sense and be there, but in his own unique way.
How do you know when a hero's kit has taken shape? Like, what was there a particular early moment designing Deckard where you sort of found his gameplay hook?
Yeah, so Deckard was honestly one of the more challenging heroes we've ever worked on. It really was a different approach because of the fact that normally we'll sit down and we'll have this big meeting where we just go through their background. You know, what have they done? What are their heroic achievements? What powers are they known for? And for Deckard, it's, well, he identifies your items. He knows a lot of stuff. So we had to kind of dive in with that, right? And we started with a lot of just direct inspiration from Diablo. You know, hey, let's try healing potions and see what happens with that. You know, Town Portal, Identify. We tried out, you know, having him cast the Nephilim Glory buff on allies. And yeah, he did identify enemy heroes for a while, revealed them, reduced their armor. A lot of those things actually ended up being in his talents still, even though they didn't kind of fit for his base kit, didn't quite feel heroic enough to be a whole ability. But the moment that we really had it was Healing Potion was kind of the only thing in his original kit that kind of stuck along to the final shipping version, right? So we looked at that and looked at, why does Healing Potion make sense for Deckard, and all these other abilities we've tried, why are they like, that doesn't quite feel like Deckard yet? And the big thing we settled on is that Healing Potion feels tactical. It feels clever. It makes sense because Deckard's not someone who's overpowering you. He's being clever and he's outsmarting you. And for Healing Potions, you're rewarded for being clever. You're setting these things down in advance. You're predicting where the fight's going to go and having that healing there when your teammates need it. So we started looking at other abilities that would enable similar gameplay. And once we had kind of a full set of that, it just kind of fit together. Like the Scroll of Sealing, where he gets that big powerful area denial that can set up allies. The Horadric Cube, we tried a few different versions of that all involved different kinds of pre-planning. We tried putting the Horadric Cube on the ground, having you throw abilities into it that would generate effects, almost like an alchemy kind of feel. That one was a little limiting just because once the cube's down, all your abilities go there. You're not thinking about where you're casting anymore. But we kept the theme of it and made it the targeted cube, you know, that just goes off, and then gave him the gem talent so he could keep like modifying the cube and get that cool alchemy feel with each cast. And then, of course, the cube is also a natural combo into the Scroll of Sealing because it slows enemies down. And then with his heroics as well, we wanted to capture that, you know, tactical, that kind of setup moments, do awesome combos like Diva's mech exploding with Stay a While and Listen, you know. Once we had that as his gameplay, that he was enabling his teammates, you know, he was kind of guiding them and setting them up for victory, but not blowing up enemies himself. Like, that really felt like Deckard and felt awesome.
Was he always planned to be a support, or was a specialist something that you guys considered at some point?
So we felt like support really made sense for him. I think because with a specialist, you kind of expect them to do a pretty good amount of damage. Maybe not necessarily as much to heroes, but, you know, at some point they have to do a lot of damage to contribute. You know, even someone like Abathur, you know, it's not always obvious, but he's doing a lot of damage. He's clearing minion waves. He's cloning heroes and blowing people up. Deckard really didn't feel like someone who would be, you know, blowing people up and razing towns and things like that. So we felt like support really did make sense for him. He's, you know, your guide. He's your, you know, he's telling you where to go, what to do. He's helping you out with magic items. So that was kind of the path that we wanted to go really right from the start.
So I want to know, was there anything you had to cut when working on early implementations of Deckard that you're sad about? Was there any cool ideas that almost made it but just weren't quite good enough for the live game?
All right. So I've got three for you. So first off, Town Portal originally was his hearth. He was actually going to open a Town Portal, go back to base, and then Town Portal back out onto the field, just like Diablo, right? But of course, Deckard's a healer, and for healers, mana tension is really important. And having that Town Portal just totally like destroyed the mana gameplay loop. He would just, I'm empty, back to town, back into the fight, mana's full again. Right. You really want to have those moments where, the healers, like, they can run out of mana. You have to care about your sustain. So that was one. We did keep the flavor on that in his hearth, though, so you still see the Town Portal, which is kind of cool. Another one is we tried a heroic for him. We called it the End Times, and it was going to have, the meteor, like from the cinematic, right, come out of the sky, land on Deckard, send enemies just flying away in every direction, and then you just pop out of a portal safely, so a few seconds later. That one actually was pretty awesome gameplay-wise, except that to get maximum meteor value, right, you want to hit as many enemies as possible. So Deckard was running suicidally into the enemy team before the meteor came down. It was like, that just doesn't feel quite right. And that's why we like the displacement gameplay. So that's why it morphed into what ended up being Lornado, which still has, awesome displacement moments, but doesn't require Deckard to run into the enemy team. Right. Likewise, the original version of Scroll of Sealing was this neat effect where it was attached to Deckard, and he physically would walk around with the scroll, unraveling it and drawing the shape. So you could get like kind of really wacky shapes with it, and it was fun to trap enemies that way. But again, to get the optimal shape, you had to run into the enemies. So it didn't really make sense with the rest of his kit. That's what I'm actually hoping that we'll see again later on another hero who maybe the rest of their kit better fits that kind of style.
Like the idea of like drawing on the
that you can physically draw a shape with your hero. I think that would be amazing.
Cool.
We just need someone who maybe has the mobility for it or the toughness that they can get away with it.
Right, yeah, not the old man who's trying to
No,
toss potions
definitely
out. Yeah.
not.
Why don't we talk about where the version of Deckard that you guys landed on fits into the game? Specifically, like his role as a support on the roster. The last couple supports we've seen have taken kind of more unique approaches to their design. And Deckard certainly, I would say, fits in that category. Have you taken a look at kind of the supports that are popular at high levels of play in the HGC? And is that affecting the design philosophy for supports and potential reworks for existing supports? Like, how does Deckard fit into that puzzle?
So supports and kind of their overall gameplay is something that we are paying kind of close attention to and thinking about a lot. And really, I would say with the recent supports, the changes we've been making in terms of having them be a little more unique is very much an active decision. What we're looking for is that we don't want support gameplay to be just, I'm playing whack-a-mole with health bars, right? We want a lot of depth. We want you to be making decisions that kind of show off your mastery. I'm a support who really has mastery of my character. I can play in different ways that you might not have expected or pull off really clever plays, just like, an assassin might, and I'm not just mashing the guy with the lowest health trying to save them, and as long as I have cooldowns or mana. So with each of these, one of the things we look for is like, are there mini games that they can play? Are there special hooks? Stukov, plays with his position, and he has a lot of interplay between his trait and even his offensive stuff. When does he activate the trait for max value? He's got these cool disengage tools. Alex Straza has to manage her health pool, and she's got this really powerful delayed heal, and there's so much decision making around where to put it. When you use Dragon Queen for Ana, she's a skill shot healer, which is absolutely wild. And then Deckard, of course, with the healing potions, he can do this thing where he can be in multiple places at once almost. He can ride up to top lane, drop some healing potions. Maybe 2 minutes later, the Artanis up there needs to go back and get some healing. And hey, there's a potion there. It's awesome. And meanwhile, he's already down in another lane healing somebody else. He can also do something where he's like, hey, an objective's coming in 30 seconds. I'm going to drop 5 potions right on top of the objective, and my team is going to have that as an advantage when we go in. Like, planning ahead and being rewarded for that is kind of this extra layer that feels awesome for him. And we're also taking that back now to some of our previous supports. You're seeing, like, with the Malfurion rework, we added that extra layer of, hey, I've got kind of the Moonfire gameplay now, so I can get burst healing on my team, and I'm rewarded for kind of thinking ahead on that front. So definitely we want on the kind of the gameplay side, we feel like as a support, you want to feel powerful, impactful, fun, feel like you're making these good decisions and you have engaging gameplay. As far as HGC stuff goes, we are also paying attention to that. One of the things we look at is what tools are available to each of these supports. Why would I draft this support versus another support? Why am I taking, Deckard versus Rhaegar versus Uther, Stukov, whoever, right? So we're being really conscious of those distinctions and kind of what the draft implications would be for each hero, what kind of teams you would pick them in. And that's something that we're trying to incorporate more into our process.
What is the most anticipated thing you're sort of excited for seeing what players do with Deckard when they get him? they first get him? What's the thing you want to see him do?
So what I really want to see is what people pull off with Stay a While and Listen, because it's such a big area that you catch. Realistically, you could catch 4 or 5 members of the enemy team fairly often, and there's some big combos that this can set up. Like I want to see what kind of crazy wombo combos players dream up and pull off with Deckard. Like we've done, the Diva combo. Obviously, the timing lines up really nice with the talent that extends the explosion timer. Jaina's Ring of Frost. A good Jaina is going to get 1 or 2 hits, but when they're asleep, she's got all the time in the world to line it up just right to get the whole team. But I'm sure there's a lot of other kind of crazy blow-up combos I haven't thought of. Maybe there's something with Lava Wave, like what could happen there? I really want to see it.
Cool. Well, thank you. How about you, KO? Is there a particular thing?
Well, there's something Matt's been talking about that I'm actually pretty excited about, which is what's it called? The one with the flask refill?
Oh yeah, Bottomless Flask.
Bottomless flask. Yeah. So there's a talent you can choose. I think it's a 20. It's 20, and it makes it so that the flask persists and they refill. So, and the thing that Matt's been talking about that I'm like, is Sergeant Hammer, having her be sieged up, throwing all of your potions underneath her, and she just sits there just forever getting health. I like that on 2 fronts. I like that as the team that you're doing that with, but then I like it because I'm seeing Stitches come back into play to get her out of there. So I think that's going to be awesome.
Very cool. So we've seen some Carbot-inspired talents and abilities, as well as a new set of sprays. Can we ever expect to see Carbot-themed skins for heroes?
I don't know. That's something we're interested in. So this partnership with John from Carbot has been awesome, and I'm really excited to see that. I've loved that. We worked on StarCraft 2 as well, and StarCraft has been such a huge thing that we loved, and he does Hero Storm now, and it's been really cool to bring his art style into the game. This game's all about that variety and giving players choice, and so it's thrilling to have that in there. I would love to see skins or mounts or something from that as well. And I know players, the second they saw the portraits and the sprays, they're like, when do we get our stick mount? And it's like, that's a great question. Let's figure that out.
I have one in particular from Ryan that I have to ask.
Hi, Ryan.
It's for KO, which is, can we please have Big Head Mode back next April?
Yeah, you know what? A couple people have asked about this. I'm actually a fan of Big Head Mode. It was fun to do that. We did that just for one April Fool's. I know that there was a lot of work from our tech art team that went into that, but it was really cool. I was just talking to Matt actually here, and it's like, maybe we should talk about that again and see where something like that might fit in. But yeah, it was pretty fun.
Have you considered what Big Head Mode might look like on Phoenix?
We had Big Head Mode. There was Big Head Mode this year on one hero, and it was Phoenix.
Yeah.
No, you wouldn't be able to see his legs in Big Head Mode.
Well, that was my point. I thought the body would be ginormous, but
it's in a jar somewhere.
It's in a jar. Oh, God. Oh, man.
It just went to a dark place.
It went to a dark place. Where do the theme skins tend to originate from? Is there a theme design first, and then sort of you design skins around it for this sort of the mecha skins and the Kel'Thuzad? And
yes, over the years we've played with a lot of different themes, and sometimes we've done them as one-offs where we might come in and just make one skin and go, hey, that's kind of cool. And it really, Mecha Storm kind of started with that. We did Mecha Tassadar, and that was really the beginning. It was one skin, but it was hugely popular on our team. Players loved it, and it really, like, the excitement behind just us kind of scratching the surface of that really led to Mecha Storm having this big themed event where we brought back Tyrael and Rhaegar and Abathur, and we did this big, anime-themed cinematic around it, and it was just this fun thing. So a lot of times we'll experiment with something, and then if it resonates with the team and it resonates with the players, we might dig deeper into it. But I mean, a lot of those things, they come from a conversation in the hallway. Sometimes an artist just gets really excited and goes and does a concept, and that just spins off just tons of stuff from there. But it comes from anywhere that we're excited about and passionate about as players.
With the Call of Kel'Thuzad crew and the Mecha Tyrael, who's known as a guardian of Neo Stormwind, do these characters exist exclusive of each other, or could we expect to see Dreadlord Jaina versus Jaina?
You could. I've seen that in Quick Match myself, actually.
I've taken the Jaina announcer while playing Jaina, and she's very confused why she's down on the battlefield.
That's cool. Going back to last summer, we've seen some things like the Call of Kel'Thuzad and the Heroes Mecha Storm stuff. The Rise of the Ravenlord comic was just announced. What other avenues of storytelling are you going to explore, if any? And do you envision any kind of gameplay-based story expression through like PvE brawls and things like that?
Yeah, so along the way with this game, we've been communicating about our content in a lot of different ways. Everything from machinima pieces to things like flavor text that you see in-game when you look at an individual skin or character. We've done full-blown, like, pre-rendered cinematics. And moving forward, as we're digging into the lore more, what we'd like to do is continue to delivering those types of things to you, but making sure that we're always kind of interweaving this kind of overarching story of what is the Nexus, what's going on with it, what's this singularity, this power source that everyone's fighting over, and also tying in even when theme skin drops come in, Mechastorm, how does that relate to it? How does the Call of Kel'Thuzad relate to it as well? Like all of these things will be touch points where we can kind of go in and out of this storyline and kind of contextualize the Nexus itself.
Awesome. Can we get a yearly update to Mechastorm, just like 3 new Mecha Heroes a year?
That would be awesome. I think there was a lot of excitement around it, so I would love to see Mechastorm come back. And I don't know, any ideas of which ones you want to see next, skin-wise?
Okay, this is going to be a really weird one because it seems like it's already halfway there, but I dream of like Mecha Artanis.
Cool.
Just a Gundam-looking mech with 2 laser swords. I mean, yeah.
I like it.
So since we're diving into sort of like the original story of Heroes, or the world that Heroes lives in outside of, established Blizzard properties, do you guys have any eye towards introducing heroes that exist solely in the Nexus that aren't from an existing family of characters?
That's definitely a possibility. I think we do have this giant roster of Blizzard heroes that we want to bring in, and like we always talk about this massive list we have, and it's such like a challenge for us to always go through that list and try to figure out the right combination of what does the game need right now, what's a unique spot gameplay wise that players haven't experienced yet, and kind of matching that up. But I think diving into some of the lore of the Nexus opens more doors for us to be able to kind of go wherever we want to take it. So it's a possibility.
Cool.
What would you say to the criticism that Heroes of the Storm severely lacks Hearthstone-specific content? Is it just not in the cards, or have you just not shown your hand yet?
Wow.
That was definitely one of the Lord's guys.
I guess Gizmo wrote that. I might be wrong.
Oh, it's not Gizmo. No.
No?
It's written by Kevin Multisort.
I mean, there definitely could be more Hearthstone stuff in our game. We have some mounts, and that's probably about it at the moment. I think we'd like to explore that stuff more, but it's just a question of how it fits in. Again, finding the right time and place for that kind of content to enter the game.
For what it's worth, we do have most of the Hearthstone heroes in the game.
This is true.
All right. In terms of counterplay, AoE seems to be particularly problematic for a frontline healer. Are you expected in other situations where he might be punished?
So Deckard's probably one of his noticeable things is that he does kind of lack mobility tools. He can defend himself with kind of roots and slows, and he's got a lot of that. But otherwise, like, he can throw potions at himself. Displacements potentially could be really punishing for him. So if you've got like a Stitches who can fish him out, an Artanis swap, a lot of those other types of effects, Garrosh potentially, that makes it a little bit harder for him to get out because, sure, even if he roots the enemies at that point, he's already on the other side from his team, and that's going to be rough. So he will have to be really careful with his positioning while he's kind of running around, keeping his buff up from his allies, throwing potions out, and trying to get, really perfect scrolls of sealing out.
So we sort of talked about this a little bit with the question about what you're anticipating seeing with players actually using Deckard. But on the flip side of the counterplay question, what situations do you think Deckard really shines in? Team comps, maps, like where do you see him kind of slotting in with frontliners, with assassins, and on what battlegrounds do you think he really has a chance to shine?
So 2 big angles to that. One is going to be, and largely ties into Battlegrounds, the fact that he can set up means that on a lot of Battlegrounds where there's one single objective point to focus on, he can kind of take advantage of that to get there early. So say you're on Cursed Hollow or Volskaya, you know where the fight's going to be. So he can get there, he can get those 5 potions out, he's ready to go, and his team can take advantage of that extra healing right off the bat, which is a pretty big edge. That's like almost a full extra hero of health. On the flip side, if you're on something like Towers of Doom, that might be a little less optimal when you've got the 3 points up and you're not sure, like you have to make a choice where those potions are going to go for the setup. So that's not quite as effective, but also anywhere with like really tight choke points, his Lornado is excellent for just displacing enemies or possibly isolating them. So for example, you can shove a whole enemy team down a corridor, you can put the Lornado behind their tank and everyone dogpiles the tank while the rest of their team's pushed away. You can throw the Lornado behind a gate and fish people out. There's a lot of fun you can have there. So that's the map side. And then in terms of kind of team comps, he's really good with people who, again, he can kind of set up because of that root effect. He can enable abilities that are normally pretty hard to hit with, right? You have things like Chromie or, Kael'thas, Jaina, abilities that kind of have a big delay but hit really hard. Deckard really enables those. You can also combo him with other things that, you know, normally take a bit to set up. You can chain stay a while into Mosh Pit, into Lava Wave. You know, there's a lot of fun you can have there if you have teams that can do really powerful kind of combos that take time to pull off, because he buys you that time.
So let's talk a little bit more about Deckard specifically. One thing that I've noticed is that his talent design is pretty broad. It seems like he has a lot of talents that can be really tailored to a particular situation based on your team comp, the map, the enemy team, etc. Was that a design decision based on the fact that his kit is really about control, so that you need more options in terms of how you support your team? And is that kind of the niche that you see supports, you know, slotting into these various areas going forward?
So yeah, that was very much a conscious decision, kind of in line with Deckard's theme of being this guy who's very tactical, very strategic. You know, he wants to adapt to the situation, outthink his opponents. You know, he's not forceful. He's not doing tons of damage or, you know, overwhelming amounts of healing. He's thinking ahead and getting rewards for that. So that adaptation really feels like a natural part of it. You'll notice, like, in his kit, really, I think he only has one talent that actually increases his damage. So it really is all about offering that utility. For other supports, like, there may be different areas where they're stronger or weaker in, so they won't necessarily have like the same array of choices that Deckard has, but definitely the utility a support brings to the table is one of the things we're thinking about, because it ties back into that whole idea of, you know, what situations do I draft them in? Why do I take this hero over that one? You know, you don't want to have like this one hero is the clear choice because they've got all the tools. You know, you want to have lots of options, but at the same time, we do have to make sure that there's a nice varied toolkit for each of our supports, because if they're too specialized, then you feel like you have to take multiple supports together in order to cover each other's weaknesses.
Right. Also, they're very vulnerable to counter picks and stuff like that.
Is there a message you'd like to give to the Lords of the Storm for them not being here, and, you know, something you want to say?
Miss you guys. We should hang out again.
Oh, that's great questions. I dig the passion. I'm excited that they're covering the game, and I'm really happy to be bringing new stuff to them.
Great. Thank you.
Hi everyone, Spencer here from the Starting Zone podcast. We hope you enjoyed our interview. And hey, if you're into World of Warcraft, check us out. We're on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, even Spotify. You can reach out to us on Twitter @The Starting Zone or stop by our website, thestartingzone.com. We do a weekly show that focuses on World of Warcraft and what's happening right now in the game. So if that's something you're into, stop on by and check us out.
Again, thank you so much to Spencer and Jason. A couple of super awesome dudes. Like, we didn't even approach them to ask them to do this. They messaged us and we're like, "Hey, we're at PAX East. We can get an interview. Would you guys like us to do that for you?" We said, "Absolutely. That would be awesome." And they did it. It's amazing quality. They got some amazing questions in. Personally, I think there's a lot better information in that than there was even at the panel itself. Getting to sit down, 2-on-2 with those guys. So huge shout out to them. Thank you very much. And if you guys are into World of Warcraft, make sure and check out the Starting Zone podcast, because it's cool.
It's really good.
Yeah.
I feel bad. I feel bad that I haven't added the Starting Zone to my own podcast hit cycle that I got going, but I did this week and I really enjoyed it. They've convinced me to try out this Mage Tower healing thing. And also do the weekly PvP brawl now. I may actually do that now. So no, it's good stuff.
Yeah,
and they're one of the longer running WoW podcasts.
Oh yeah,
as well.
It's the Spazbot one. So
yep,
good stuff.
All right. So I imagine we're gonna see Deckard and PTR this next Tuesday. Hopefully, is what they're making it sound like. So fingers crossed, and we'll definitely check them out and keep you guys up to date on that. Now, since we have such a, happy thoughts going and everything like that, we should keep things really happy. And that is talk about ranked play.
But I got a couple things I got to say about that interview.
Okay. What do you got?
I know we're trying to clip it along, but I just have to comment at least about the Hearthstone bit. Quick response to that question.
Gul'dan, Uther.
Yeah. And the issue with that is, yes, for what it's worth, those heroes are in the game, and that's worth a lot to me, absolutely. but they aren't Hearthstone-ified. You know what I mean? Like, I've said this in the past. They don't They don't have abilities or anything that just screams Hearthstone. They have a couple voice lines, like Valera has that time for a Hearthstone break or whatever she says when she is Hearthstoning. But yeah, there's so much more to explore. So I just wanted to tell you guys, for all of you cross fans between those two games, I'm not going to stop my crusade until Hearthstone Brew the Innkeeper throws down a card onto the field and charges into Morgul the Oracle, who's another hero. And it's all on a Hearthstone themed map, and I'm not going to stop until that's the case. So there you go. That's all I had to say.
Fair enough. If you got a platform, use it, Multi. You got it.
That's right.
All right. So now, Reddit has, for a while, had its discussions about ranked play and Hero League and stuff. Always a happy place. It seems like it's reaching one of its boiling points, which happens occasionally. And it's another post that happened 3 days ago by Hive Fleet titled, "Blizz, if you don't fix the game, Hero League and Ranked, this game will die."
And not just him.
Right.
There was a point where the entire front page was basically nothing but these topics.
Yeah.
And okay, it's a legit concern, but the doomsayer ones where they're like, fix this or it'll die, just kind of always irk me to read. It's like, yes, it's a big deal. It's a concern we all share, but I don't think you're just doing the doomsaying for clicks. But anyway, continue.
I mean, it's a valid concern that some people have. That's what this game is to a lot of people. But it sparked a conversation, and Caldor had a response on here about some of the issues that he has with the current system. And I'll just kind of go through those points. I agree with some, don't agree with a lot of them. But things that need to be done to fix it. That's implement hero swaps during drafts so people can draft properly. Crack down hard on levers and feeders. Educate the player base better. They currently learn the game in Quick Match and then are completely lost when they head into Hero League, mostly because of the random queue and Quick Match team compositions. That's the number one thing I agree with. Better promotion for HGC within the client, so the more casual player base can learn from the pros. Sounds like it might be in the works. Bring back performance-based matchmaking, and this time make sure to make it more transparent how it works so people don't get confused. Some form of either MMR or ranked points decay. Better incentives to play, especially on the Grandmaster level. And then make the opponent's players' names visible again and allow for profiles to be checked during the draft. More transparency instead of less. So, yeah. And this has kind of bubbled up to this point in part because it's been really quiet on the hero side. I think the last thing we heard was about the performance-based matchmaking being taken out and things being reset again because things were broken. And at that point, they had apologized for waiting so long and not being transparent and talking about their plans going forward. So it's been building up again, and it's hit that point. And before we get into the response to that, I just kind of want to talk on a few of these points. Again, the number one I agree with, and I agree with it the way Caldor worded it, because we've had discussions in the past of people who said, Quick Match, people are learning the game in Quick Match and it's not preparing them for Hero League, so Quick Match shouldn't be a big of a deal or it should be taken out of the game. Not the case. It just needs to be fixed. And I don't need to go into that conversation again of, multi-picks and things like that to help the matchmaker make a better match. But I do think that is a big deal. And it's been highlighted even more with me playing on my alternate account of people not knowing how to play in team fights just because the compositions are always so wonky and they're learning the game. And I've been talking to people as we're doing this and they're asking why I'm doing some things or, what they're doing wrong. And it's hard to even talk through at some points because I can't give examples because, we're no warriors and no supports or 3 supports and 2 assassins. So it's weird. But the boiling point again has been reached. And do you guys have anything to add into that before we get to the Blizzard response?
I mean, yeah, I'm with you. I agree with some of these points of Caldor's and disagree with a few others. Like we had that whole conversation about allowing for the profiles to be checked during draft. I'm not for that, but a lot of this stuff, it seems like we've honestly probably hit all of these points at least at some point, just scattered over the course of a long swath of time, and that I think illustrates how long this issue really has been going on. You're right in that it's hit a boiling point recently, especially as a reaction to Blizzard's kind of silence on the matter. But I mean, think about it. I just recently brought up another set of concerns with Tank Zord's placements and how upset he was about those. So I mean, that wasn't too long ago there. And I mean, these things have been issues for. Versions of these issues have existed the whole time, I'd argue. Think about like even the how long the preseason was with like the ranked system as it was then, and then the difficulties of translating that into what's happening now, including like the fact that if you were rank 1 in the former system, a lot of those folks still just place super high every time because it just carries over so much of what you'd done previously. That's kind of touching on Cowler's point about the MMR and rank points decay. And I don't know. So, I mean, I will again reiterate that I'm not a doomsayer about any of this. I don't think that the death of the game is on the verge or anything like that. I think Blizzard will do it right. It is surprising how long it's been taking to get it there.
Yeah,
I'll be honest.
No, I completely agree. The game will not live or die based on Hero League. I mean, I think we kind of proved that out last week when I shared some of the statistics from honestly, the only statistics we have, but from the BlizzCon 2 years ago, where they showed that Quick Match was almost 50% of time played.
Mm-hmm.
Like that just goes to show that even if Hero League and Team League went away completely, there would be plenty of people who would just play Quick Match and then not care if there was any other mode. But obviously there are a lot of people who do care about Hero League and Team League, and there have been a lot of issues. And it's just, like you said, been boiling, and it finally kind of overloaded. I agree with most of the stuff he says here. I really agree, and I think I talked about this a while ago when we hit up had a big topic on Ranked before, where he's for getting rid of the promotion to motion games outside of complete tier changes. I've been hoping for that for a long time. Mm-hmm. Like bronze through diamond. It'd be awesome if no promo demo, just you go 5 to 1, then you play a set of 3, and then another 5 to 1, and then you play a best of 3 to promote yourself. And I think that would work a lot better. But I mean, for what it is, the Heroes team, from a Blizzard perspective, has always been one of the better teams with communication. I want to start out and give that to them. Like, their community interaction is probably the best of any Blizzard team. They from a Heroes side, there's a lot of front-facing people both on the forums and on Twitter that will happily talk to you a lot about the hero side, the balance stuff, and whatnot. The problem is there's never been that front-facing person, or there's never been a resource to talk to the community base from the system side. Mm-hmm. And that's the side that's really boiling over right now. And so Gizmo is going to get to the response in a second, but I really hope that they can shore up the system side of things, and that what comes is actual transparency and actual plans, and not a lot of what we've gotten before, which is just vague concepts and ideas that may or may not materialize.
Yeah.
Is bad, will fix.
Oh, I miss those. Yeah, so kind of a day later after the specific post we were talking about, but 2 days ago, Alan Dabiri wrote a response on the Blizzard forums, not on Reddit, that I'm going to read in full, just because I want his point to get across. He says, "Hey guys, We've been reading through a lot of the conversations that have been happening in the Heroes community about various topics like ranked play and matchmaking improvements. While we've been discussing some of these areas internally for some time, we definitely haven't done a great job of communicating our thoughts and plans with you, and for that we apologize. However, we do have thoughts that we'd like to share with you on some of these topics, and we'd like to start with a blog post we're looking to get posted in the next couple of days. This blog post will focus on several of the most commonly discussed topics we've seen. We want to follow it up with a Reddit AMA on the Heroes subreddit a day or two after the blog post. That should help us dive into even more of your questions that we may not have answered in the blog. As always, we really appreciate everyone who takes the time to share constructive feedback with us about the game. We're going to keep working on improving our communication with you guys. We're looking forward to talking with you more this week, so keep an eye out for the blog and Reddit Q&A over the next few days. So we should hopefully be getting that blog post maybe even tomorrow. Who knows? I would imagine it'd be probably Fridays, typically when they kind of do some of that stuff.
Yeah.
But
it says next few days. So.
Yeah. But, and there's a lot of response in these posts of, thanks for the discussion and stuff. There is one person who points out, so it kind of keeps track of the posts that you make on a forum. And Alan DeBerry, the game director of Heroes of the Storm, this is his 5th post since on the forums, which some people, that may be a huge red flag, and, that's why they're upset. They're not communicating. I just want to say it is not Alan DeBerry's job to be posting on forums and himself be keeping us informed.
Right.
His job is to be looking at the game currently and way down the line to process the plans and make sure this game is the best it can be. That being said, there are some people, game directors, who do that. That's, falls in some of their talents. Jeff Kaplan, Dustin Browder did that, and that's cool too. But that is not his job. That being said, they've admitted it here. They admitted it on the last post, so hopefully we'll see some improvements. But they really do need potentially another community person to work specifically with the system side to kind of be able to answer questions more, keep us in the loop of what's going on. But again, you can't be as transparent with this stuff because things are going to be changing all the time. I don't think you want to, as much as we would like to see like a roadmap for the future, I'm not sure that's something you can do with this. When it comes to matchmaking and ranked play, in my opinion, I think that is probably the absolute hardest thing to do in game design, because you're trying to match all by codes and equations and arithmetic, all this stuff, match up people to play a good game, not only on skill, but mindset, personalities. You're never going to be able to do that. You're never going to be able to know a person's intentions as they're queuing. And while it's far from perfect, it'll never be perfect, but it can definitely be better. And, hopefully we'll see some of that stuff in this blog post that's coming up, get some good stuff out of the Reddit AMA that's coming up. But it's in more communication going forward, I guess. Whew.
Yeah. It's going to be, I think from at least a ranked perspective, a lot is going to hinge on this blog post and this AMA.
Uh-huh.
Like people don't want business as usual anymore. They want some real concrete details. They want some transparency, and they're going to want some direct answers, especially in the AMA, to some of the hard questions that people are going to ask. And so I think these next 2 pieces of communication will be very telling as to how serious they are about opening up these lines for this side of the game.
And honestly, the more transparency, the more the community is going to feel like they're a part and have a stake in building this game into what we all want it to be, right? So, I mean, the more that they share with us, the more we're able to give feedback like this, such as in the Q&A and elsewhere. The more we can just collaborate on making this what everyone wants it to be. And honestly, I think that they're even taking this step, and that they do take these steps frequently. I mean, this isn't This isn't the first AMA. This isn't the first Q&A, that sort of thing. But it's got to help them out, I would think, to have our feedback and to have people actually chiming in with great ideas that maybe they didn't think about. Like, oh, actually, that's a really good point. Why don't we have it to where you can queue up as 3 different heroes and quick match at the same time in the interface? Just as an example, right? So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this. We'll see how it shakes out. But it's good seeing Alan Dabiri again coming to the front. Like you said, Gizmo, it's definitely not his job. I think that the perception is colored by people like Jeff Kaplan, who even sometimes flames people on the forums, but that's beside the point for sure. I did have a question though. So Alan Dabiri, does anyone around the office call him Captain Adab? Because they should.
I think yes.
Okay.
Probably.
I mean, how could you not?
Not sure. If
That's probably on his name. It's probably on his nameplate, actually.
Yeah.
Captain Adab. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, they've got to be drawing straws to figure out who has to be the ones to go on that AMA, because that's going to be brutal. And
It sounded like from the actual Reddit response, he said he's going to pull a lot of his leads. So it sounds like potentially there's going to be a lot of pretty high up people.
Yeah, I imagine we'll see
team.
Travis. Is Kent still on the Heroes team?
Kent Eric Hagman?
Yeah.
I think so.
I don't know.
I wonder if he moved over to the system side.
Yeah, I don't know. He was the lead hero designer, so I don't know necessarily if he's co-doing it with Matt or if he's moved on to another team or another position or something. I don't think they've announced anything about it.
I haven't heard anything.
Interesting. But you bring up a good point about people flaming this Q&A. Let's again, as a community, challenge ourselves to be constructive or at least helpful. I mean, even if you're really salty about this and you hop on this AMA, by all means, I mean, air your grievances. But I just know from having seen these over the course of years now that they'll respond better to actual, well thought out, constructive conversation pieces other than just, oh man, this rank system sucks, this game's gonna die, and all that stuff. So just, if you're listening to this, hop on if you're concerned enough about this, throw in your 2 cents for sure, but just make it to where it's something that they can build on, essentially.
Yeah. And
I hate the developers. This should change. Don't do that.
It's easy to just flame when you're as passionate and upset of the current state of things, but really, like, you can be angry and not be a dick. You could be angry and be constructive, because there are a few people on the Heroes team that are on the system side that are active on Twitter and have been active in answering people's questions, that I've even seen lately just say, as much as I want to engage in your conversations, no one's wanting to actually engage with me and let me help. Like, everyone's just being angry, and I can't do that right now. So don't shut off the little things that we do have, be nice. Everyone love each other. It's the whole thing. But again, hopefully we'll have more on that next week with the blog post and AMA. We do have a few things to get through here. Oh boy, it's one of those. Let's move on to the HGC. All right, TBK.
Don't worry, I'll be quick. Guys, HGC games last week were really cool. You should go watch them. Also, the mid-season brawl returns to DreamHack this summer. Yes, Fnatic triumphed over Team Dignitas on their home turf at last year's mid-season brawl. The final series stretched late into the night with the audience balanced on the edge of their seat, and they're excited to announce that the mid-season brawl will return to Sweden at DreamHack this summer again this year with another $250,000 reserved for the fiercest competitors. So the big thing about mid-season brawl coming up this time is the extra slot. Because Korea and Europe won their respective clashes, Europe will be able to bring 3 teams, and Korea will be able to bring 3 teams, while China and North America will only be able to bring 2. So the competition is going to be a lot fiercer on the Chinese and the North American side. So that's going to be really interesting. We have 2 weeks left. We have this weekend and next weekend of the actual league play, and then that we're going to move straight into the playoffs for the midseason brawl. I'm pretty excited. It's going to be really good. And honestly, with only 2 teams being able to make it, I honestly don't know, besides potentially Tempo Storm from an NA side, who's going to go.
Heroes Heart's looking real good.
Heroes
They look
Heart's
good
looking
this
real
week.
good.
Heroes Heart.
Yeah, but I mean, Gale Force is a contender. Freedom's probably a contender in there. Like, there's going to be a lot of competition for that second spot, especially for the NA side. On the European side, we'll most likely see Dignitas. There's a decent chance we'll see Fnatic. There's a decent chance we'll see Zealots or Liquid. So there's going to be some fighting going on for that third slot, but it's going to be a little easier just because of the extra. Also, the Open Division has finished up, and we now have our Crucible teams that are lined up ready to battle the 7th and 8th place teams in the HGC during the Crucible time. In the North American Open Division, King's Gambit took first place with Team XD getting second, while over on the European side, Worst Positioning took first place. And this is the team composed of Sonic, who in the Western Clash subbed for Fnatic because Quacknix was sick. So he has now a potential chance to get into HGC officially. And then Granite Gaming took the second place spot in the EU Open. And so there's some familiar names on just about every single one of the teams right now. Mm-hmm. And so it'll be really interesting to see who actually goes. Just to throw out some dates, the HGC playoffs for the spots in the midseason brawl are going to be April 27th through 29th. And then the HGC Crucible will take place May 5th and 6th. And that's where the open teams will have the chance to knock out an HGC team in a best-of-7 series. And then the midseason brawl will then take place after both of those events, June 9th through the 19th.
All right.
Yeah. Stuff to look forward to.
Yeah. Again, should be exciting lead up to midseason and the Crucibles, and we'll see what happens. But TBK, what do you have for your community content shout out this week?
What I forgot Team 12. Frick. Sorry. Team 12 is totally a contender for one of those 2 spots. I didn't want to. I knew something was nagging me in the back of my mind. It's just like TBK, you're missing something. Team 12.
Team 12. Yep.
Duh.
Gotcha.
Sheesh. Totally missing that. Okay. So moving on to community content shout out. And this is actually something I did recently. I had a big interview with all of the Heroes Hearth guys. And that is available over on my blog at Heroes Hearth. We'll have the link. It's actually a really, really interesting interview, as a lot of the guys give their feedback from the Western Clash, the things they learned as they move into the midseason brawl, and balancing ideas from McIntyre, which is always a fun and interesting read. He thinks that Rexar should be able to ride Misha into battle, which I think I can get behind that.
Cool. Sorry,
I thought you guys would be more excited about Rexar riding Misha into battle.
I was responding to some things in chat, and it got all jumbly.
It's okay. I'll be excited about it for you guys.
Okay.
It's a pretty cool idea. I can get behind that.
What do you do as far because now you can mount up as Misha, and then Misha still follows you around. Like if that's your mount, what happens?
It would be like
a mount up
or something, right?
It'd be what?
Like a heroic or something. You just jump on Misha, and then Misha does this big charge, and you do axe swings.
Okay.
And stuff from the side.
Okay.
It'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a cool. For that and more ridiculous McIntyre ideas, please go check out the Heroes Hearth team interview. Moving on.
I dig it.
If you want to read some more interesting stuff on the chat is just so mean. If you want to read
Remember,
some more
guys,
interesting
constructive criticism.
if you want to read some more stuff on the Hero League dilemma that we talked about earlier, Slapjack over at Team Liquid has written a pretty good article about that. That's got another take on the problems with educating the player base and what some of the changes might need to be made. So if you're looking just to get more information or another perspective on that whole discussion, then we'll have the link to that article in the show notes as well.
Oh, yeah.
All right. We have listener questions. We got a couple this week, and if we have time, I saw one in chat that we'll try and get to as well. But let's go ahead and hop into those. All right, Multi, take it away.
All right, so this is from and we have called him in the Discord today, the validated doomsayer Naraki. This was a little bit ways back. That's right. He was wanting us to just essentially do a kiss, marry, and kill of the HOTS roster. So if you guys aren't familiar with that game, it's choosing various heroes and determining which you would like to kiss, marry, or kill. So we can knock that out real quick for sure. And then he also added, so which hero / ability / trait / talent, a lot of freedom in that. Aside from the obvious dead and buried horse Jimmy, ranged minion Raidner, what do you think desperately needs to be reworked? He was saying his goes to Gul'dan. It's something he talked about on Discord, but it bears repeating that they need to do something about the fact that he has only one ultimate, period. So yeah, let's knock these out. Let's do kiss, marry, kill first here. TBK, what do you got on that one?
Oh, of course you're starting with me. Okay, so
This is harder because normally like they give you 3 options and you choose between the 3. We have 70.
I know, right?
70 something
like
options.
70 something.
Right.
Like this is a little ridiculous. Kiss Morales, marry Nova,
Oh, you would.
kill Hanzo.
Kill Hanzo, perfect. Good. You have a better chance of doing that now that his escapability's been nerfed. So there you go.
It's true.
That's good.
I would say kill Sylvanas, but the Heroes team just did that.
Oh, burn.
Just kidding.
So did Arthas.
I would never kill Sylvanas.
Wow.
I would say I'd kiss Sylvanas, but I feel like I'd be judged for that really hard. So I'm gonna say it anyway.
Because
I'm judging you right now.
Sylvanas is bae,
It's in the art. It's in the official Lords of the Storm art, Greg.
but
you can't run from it.
but I would marry Morales because she seems like a good person that would be able to look after me when I do stupid
Probably has
things.
a good job.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
can
Yeah. Sure.
drive me to work in her thing that I can't think of the name of. What is that ult?
The
Stim drone?
Medivac.
Nope, medevac. There we go.
Medevac?
I can medevac to work. That'd be fantastic. And then kill of also Hanzo.
Man, a lot of Hanzo hate.
Yeah.
Fair point, though. Fair point. Okay, so for me, Kiss, Jaina, because reasons. Mary, I've actually got to go with Chromie on this one. Again, only because, yes, I know she's a dragon. Whatever.
She's also a gnome.
a time traveler.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. No. Right. Whatever. But a time traveler, and we could go on magical time journeys forever, and it'd be
Hey,
beautiful.
there is no judgment here, Multi. You
Yeah.
do.
I
You
see
do
how
you.
it is. I see how it is.
Absolutely. And then kill, even though I love him in the game and in just like Blizzard lore in general, Ragnaros. And I would do it with my old vanilla WoW hit cycle, which was Frostbolt.
After you made all those potions? Or
Yeah, after I
Mana
made
potions?
that's right. The hit cycle to kill Rag was water, conjure water, conjure water, conjure
2
water
hours.
times 40, and then Frostbolt.
Yep.
Yeah, that was right.
Cool. The second part is super easy for me. Sylvanas. Trait rework. No, I don't know. I think her trait's fine. They're just gonna need to do some other stuff. I would say Kerrigan's Ultralisk, because she's also a hero that has one ult right now. I don't know how long it's been since I've seen an Ultralisk. Like real long time.
I have seen them, but it's always awkward, and you're always kind of
the bot uses it all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, is that it? Yeah. Okay.
All right.
That's good.
What about you, Multi?
I'm trying to think on this one. Come back to me on this one.
TBK?
Dang it. Okay. Let me think. I mean, Gul'dan's is kind of the obvious one, right? And I think, and that's kind of the one his example made. There's literally no reason to take Reign of Destruction over Fear. Like that just doesn't make any sense to me at all.
The PvE things, PvE brawls.
Yeah.
Sure.
I could see that.
Sure.
In this most recent one, there is a point to be made there.
Yeah. Captain Logan, Nullgate's fine. It's a sleeper. All right.
It is true. I would also say Lucio's reverse amp.
Okay, that's a good one.
I would change that up somehow. Maybe a different
cool.
ult.
I think his needs to be like
interesting.
Tracer kind of, to where there's just, man, I don't know if you move.
I totally
that
forgot
up.
reverse amp existed.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think you give him his ult at level 1, but like maybe they do like a variant type thing where maybe it gets moved up to 6 or not 6, 7.
7.
And then like something that tweaks it at 10. I don't know. That'd be a lot of work.
Yeah.
Just to balance that out.
And then maybe Alex's Lifebinder.
Really?
Because
Because it can be good.
I don't see. I don't see a world where you would not pick Cleansing Flame.
Yep.
Well, that's the problem is that Cleansing
terribly.
Flames
Come
is so
defend
good.
your heroic, Matt. Tell us why to pick it. 'Cause we're not going to do it.
Yeah, mine's
Apparently,
gonna
only
actually be,
5.6% of people do.
There you go. So it happens. It does happen.
It does happen.
I decided on mine. It's actually Wave of Force on Li Ming, and not that it doesn't get picked, and not that it doesn't have its uses, but like, I don't know. Li Ming's kind of the reset bot, so I mean, you've got a better chance of getting those resets with her Disintegration Beam, and I mean that's what you see in pro play. That's what I pick every time. I think that something else that kind of works better with the resets in a way, and just gives me more options than just the laser would be kind of fun. So
It was cool initially.
yeah, and I mean it's not like it doesn't have its uses, but it's just doesn't get the job done the same way. So
And then you got one more question here I want to get to from chat. State Farm Jake. Hey, State Farm Jake. Do you think Zuna on Simplicity is a liability for the team or an asset? Seems like he makes great plays, but dies a lot where others don't. My take on that is classic Zuna for like the last 2 years. It seems like since Bob Ross fan club or whatever that was called. Was that it? Bob Ross fan club? Or is it just, yeah. He makes plays and dies. Or lagifts near towers. But I don't know. I mean, I think it is a liability, but he also can make the big plays. It's just, I mean, I don't know who. I can't put a name out there to replace him.
yeah, he's been in the scene so long and playing at this level for so long that like, I mean, it's hard to call him a liability just on that point. I mean, if he was a true liability to the team, he wouldn't be in HGC. So,
And he's clearly gone from a team teams that were on the top for a really long time to recently being on teams that have been struggling. Whether that is attributing to it, I would think it is partially. But again, I couldn't give you a name to replace. What do you got, TBK?
I don't know. Simplicity as a whole is like the old guard team.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty much made up of people that have just been playing for forever. And while at this point they do well, but they don't do amazing.
And do we know
And
how
I'm
old
not-
Suna is? Because they have been
I
playing a
don't.
while, and like, you know, reaction times do slow, and that's
Oh.
a big. Dude, I have even over the past 2 years, I can tell mine are, and it sucks.
I
hate
know
it.
it's a thing.
I mean,
but
I don't know if that's necessarily the issue. I mean, I honestly couldn't point to the issue. It's maybe they've hit a peak. Honestly, that's completely possible, and maybe we've seen their potential, and their potential compared to everyone else is middle of the road.
Yeah, they just got outgrown.
I mean, it's completely possible they just got outgrown. I mean, that happens in video game esports all the time. So they are not bad by any means. I think as long as they do decent in the next 2 weeks, they should avoid the Crucible. So yeah, I don't know. I think it just might be that they've hit their peak, or they've just gotten outclassed by another roster or several rosters of people, or the game's just changed that much.
Mhm.
And it has changed a lot.
Yeah.
The skill level has changed a lot. I mean, you go back and look several years ago, and some of the things that would have been considered top tier plays from the top teams a few years ago are probably not the same things that would be considered top tier plays now.
Yeah.
That's just how gaming goes as the game matures and people get better at it, and new people come along, new talent and such. That's just kind of how things go.
For sure. All right. That's going to do it for this week. But before we get out of here, Multi, why don't you tell people where we can be reached?
You can find us in-game by typing /join space LOTS, or we're on Discord, bit.ly/lotsdiscord, or you can find that link on Twitter @Lords of the Storm. We're also on twitch.tv/Lords of the Storm live Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Central. And if you want to, interact with us even more, facebook.com/Lords of the Storm podcast. And you can email us with feedback or questions at lordsofthestorm@outlook.com. And if you want to help out the show, a couple good ways of doing it. We've got, of course, the reviews out there. 5-star iTunes reviews are particularly helpful, especially these days. And I don't know why I said that, but any day that's helpful. As is true for the Patreon, patreon.com/Lords of the Storm, where you can, again, if you feel it is appropriate and you have the means to give to help support the show, we appreciate it. But either way, honestly, just thank you guys for even tuning in.
For sure. You can also find us individually, myself, on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, all those things at GizmoZord. I have been streaming more lately. A little bit of Heroes, a lot of Battle Royale stuff, just switching it up. You can also find me on Convert to Raid Presents the BattleNet News, Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Central with Pat Crane and the crew. Multi, where can you be found?
I can be found on Twitter @Multizord, and then I'm also on another show called Hearth Casual with Ro from Realm Maintenance. And so naturally, Witchwood comes out tomorrow.
Witchwood?
The Witchwood.
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 Oak? Cherry?
Yeah.
Pine?
Pine? No, that's Overwatch. You're mixing this up with the Overwatch League. Anyway, no. So yeah, exciting stuff there for sure. It's our off week, so it's not a full episode this week, but we're gonna have some stuff for you guys. And then next week when we come back with another full one, we'll have had all the more time to see what kind of decks are out there and talk a little bit more about the cards anyway. So it'll be good.
Mahogany. That's a good wood.
Smells like rich mahogany.
Chestnut?
That's a good one as well.
Mm-hmm.
TBK, where can you be found?
Rich cedar?
Ooh, cedar.
Smooth. You can find me on Twitter @TBKZord and on twitch.tv/TBKZord, where, the jury's out whether or not I'll ever stream again. It could happen. It might not happen, but it could happen.
If
we'll see.
If Throne Gauntlet makes an appearance somewhere, comes back to the world.
I told Josh that I would go back to casting if he will come back and cast with me
Josh
and come out of retirement.
He's a good dude.
Yeah. So there you go, Josh. The gauntlet has been thrown.
Anyways,
Come back to casting.
Want to give a special shout out to our patron producer Ouroboros Sword for helping support the show, as well as Blizzard for putting us up on the launcher tonight. We do appreciate it. Until next time, we will see you all same time, same place, Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Central. Have a good one.
Bye.
Enough. I shall do no more.
Is Bamboo